Tom Parker Bowles has had a successful career in the limelight as a food writer. Tom has published cookbooks, he was a restaurant critic for the Mail on Sunday, and has been a judge for various culinary TV shows.
The royal family is facing a massive crisis after Queen Camilla's son publicly hurled a truly stunning insult at Prince William. It was an attack so bold that it sent massive shockwaves through the entire monarchy. A private disagreement exploded into a full-blown scandal while cameras rolled and panicked royal aides scrambled. But it was Prince William's highly unexpected reaction that truly stunned the entire world. Calm, vengeful, and yet forgiving. Insiders claim his next move flipped the royal script completely. Now dark whispers suggest Camilla could be on her way out. But what exactly went down, and why now, inside the night, Tom sparked a massive royal earthquake? It was September 2024 on a night wrapped in London's signature fog, the kind that makes even the oldest bricks of Mayfair seem to whisper dark secrets. Claridge's Hotel, a sanctuary of velvet opulence and royal memories, glowed like a precious jewel right behind the heavy mist. Inside, beneath the soft shimmer of crystal chandeliers and the clink of cutlery against fine porcelain, the city's elite toasted to literature legacy and something far more dangerous. The evening was meant to celebrate the release of Tom Parker Bowles's newest book, a truly lavish ode to aristocratic cuisine. Yet those who truly understand how power moves behind palace doors felt it. This wasn't just about food, this was a highly calculated performance, and Tom was about to serve up something colder than champagne. Among the glittering crowd stood Princess Anne, unshaken, perfectly poised, wrapped in deep green silk. She hadn't come for toasts or canapes. She had arrived because she smelled something rotten hiding beneath the polite pleasantries, a dark undercurrent that had nothing to do with cooking and everything to do with power. Camilla Ever, the master strategist, had extended the invitation herself. She stood nearby, smiling, gloved hands folded, sending a clear message without uttering a single word: "My son belongs here." It was a calculated move Princess Anne recognised instantly, not as some warm gesture, but a warning shot wrapped in polite civility. Tom, wearing a finely cut navy suit, took the podium. His smooth voice, sharpened like a heavy kitchen blade, filled the entire room. He began with charming anecdotes and nostalgia, then quickly sliced into the very heart of the monarchy. Prince William, he declared, pausing, just to savour the intense moment, has not been kind to my mother. He treats her like a total stranger, like she doesn't exist. Gasps rippled. Champagne froze mid-sip. Cameras blinked furiously, but the most piercing, icy silence of all came straight from Anne. Her jaw clenched as her eyes locked onto Tom's like twin blades. She didn't move a muscle. She didn't flinch. She didn't have to. One single glance from her sent a message far clearer than any speech you have crossed a line. An anxious aide leaned in, voice trembling. "Your Highness, what do you make of all this?" Anne's reply came very quietly but cold enough to instantly still the air, the son of a dangerous mother. And with that, the elegant velvet mask of the evening began to tear. What do you think shattered behind all those polite velvet smiles? Loyalty, shocking betrayal, or something even darker? Stay tuned, it is only just beginning. Whispers of power, echoes of war. By November 2024, Tom Parker Bowles was no longer just a charming food critic with a velvet voice and a refined palate. He had evolved subtly but very deliberately into a man circling the throne's outer ring. His critiques used to stir upscale kitchens. Now his very presence stirred rooms lined with crown portraits and centuries-old royal secrets. With best-selling books and countless appearances on Britain's busy cultural stage, Tom had truly earned his own fame. But fame, as the monarchy knows all too well, is merely a useful tool. Power is the real prize here. When King Charles III was crowned in May, very few noticed the quiet man advising the royal kitchen on coronation cuisine. But Tom's fingerprints were all over the menu. It was highly symbolic, elegant, and surprisingly strategic, giving him access not just to kitchens, but to royal minds. He mingled easily with palace staff, exchanging laughter with wealthy lords and duchesses. and whispered deep ambitions behind expensive wine glasses. Those close enough to listen could hear it. He wasn't there just to serve fancy meals. He was tasting real influence. In the key months that followed, Tom became a regular face at exclusive private events. Take Queen Camilla's son's new interview about his mother and her decades-long relationship with King Charles, where Tom Parker Bowles shared incredibly rare insights into her highly private life. Cotswold garden parties, discreet Windsor dinners, and even high-level sustainability retreats. In each room he played the exact same role, polite, informed, and totally disarming. But underneath it all, his every handshake was a calculated move in a game far bigger than gastronomy. And right beside him always stood the master strategist. Queen Camilla, whose decades of sheer survival within Britain's coldest institution had sharpened her sharp instincts, wasn't just extremely proud of her son. She was building him up quietly, carefully. Inside Clarence House, beneath the soft glow of elegant lamps older than most monarchs, she spoke very softly to King Charles. "Tom has always been passionate about the land," she said, painting a gentle portrait of her beloved son's dream to manage a modest Cornish estate. It would give him a real purpose, a way to serve something truly meaningful. King Charles, fully soothed by her gentle tone, agreed without any suspicion. Soon discreet, untraceable contracts were signed, and Tom was handed the reins to a prime royal property. But when those shocking headlines exploded on October 19th, as Camilla's son publicly attacked Prince William, the entire mood shifted and the morning paper trembled in the prince's tense grip. William did not blink or shout, but his icy silence darkened the room as he quietly muttered, "Who does he think he is?" Then came a freezing directive: dig into absolutely everything. Now that very command quietly echoes through every single palace corridor. Who actually ordered this takedown, and why do it now? Stay right here as we uncover a feast laid for raw power. By late November 2024, the fallout from Tom Parker Bowles' scandalous comments still hung heavily over the entire royal household. But royal insiders knew this was no passing embarrassment. It was a direct declaration of war that simply could not be ignored. To Prince William, those words were far worse than offensive. They represented an invasion, a crossed line, wrapped in smug entitlement. If left unchecked, that subtle challenge had the potential to trigger a quiet coup. Yet William was not the only royal watching. From Sandringham to Windsor, where secrets whisper louder than footsteps, Princess Anne was already gathering crucial intelligence. Her 50 years inside the royal machine had razor-sharpened her instinct for spotting deception, and Tom's sudden prominence, combined with his aggressive management of the Cornish estate, along with his carefully staged presence at global summits, had sparked early alarms. Now, new dossiers on her desk turned that suspicion into absolute certainty, and it went far beyond Cornwall. Tom had been hosting private meetings with high-ranking officials from the Duchy of Cornwall, pitching ideas wrapped in the promise of eco-friendly reforms, while quietly carving out deeper power. He had also met with wealthy, influential landowners in Gloucestershire. He had quietly flown to a historic estate nestled deep in the Scottish Highlands. Every single location was tied not just to ancient history, but to the Crown's direct authority. Every proposal was wrapped in the virtuous language of sustainability, but Princess Anne could easily detect the raw ambition hidden beneath those words. The real breaking point arrived in early December. Clarence House, with its dark ancient oak panels and softly flickering firelight, became the stage for a dramatic showdown years in the making. Anne walked in clutching a thick file. It was massive, detailed, and impossible to brush aside, exposing every estate Tom had handled, every backdoor deal Camilla had arranged, and every power grab masked as protocol. The second she dropped that file onto the desk, the entire room instantly froze. Looking Camilla directly in the eyes, she said, "You have brought your son to our feast," her voice cutting like broken glass. "But remember, this is the table of the crown, not some cosy family dinner." Camilla did not even flinch. That strange, cold smile, equal parts royal grace and pure venom, touched her lips. She remained silent, yet that silence spoke volumes. Anne stood up, turned and walked out. But as that folder sat unopened beside Camilla's teacup, a massive storm was already brewing because Anne had secured a powerful ally, one who burned with a quiet anger, and happened to be the future king, Prince William. So now armed with a locked file and a secret alliance, what battle brews between duty and blood, the monarchy will not wait. The Sandringham Pact of December 2024, Norfolk. The grand royal estate lay swallowed in heavy fog, its endless acres blanketed by a winter chill so dense it blurred the line between reality and warning. The historic manor loomed ahead like a dark watchtower, its massive stone face weathered by centuries holding firm against the freezing bite of the northern wind. Inside, far away from public scrutiny, a secret meeting unfolded. It was kept off the official calendar, hidden from staff, with no titles and no ceremony. Just two key members of the royal bloodline, Princess Anne and Prince William, brought together not by standard protocol, but by absolute necessity. Anne arrived first quiet and deeply composed. Her dark wool coat matched the pine trees, her silver hair pinned back with strict military precision. Her sharp footsteps echoed across the wooden floorboards as she stepped into the ancient study where the fireplace hissed and popped softly. She surveyed the space with the cold, calculating calm of a woman who had spent her whole life protecting something sacred. She did not sit to rest. Instead, she anchored herself as if that chair were a military command post. Her fingers gripped the armrests tightly. Her pale face held zero warmth. William slipped inside just minutes later entirely without guards or aides. The future king wore a simple grey suit, yet his posture carried the undeniable weight of the crown. His expression remained entirely neutral, almost unreadable. Yet beneath that calm surface something deeply restless stirred. He acknowledged his aunt with a brief nod, neither formal nor overly casual. It was a clear signal he was ready to listen. Anne spoke first, offering no polite small talk or soft edges. Her steady, seasoned voice sliced straight through the heavy silence. "Camilla is playing an incredibly dangerous game," she said flatly. William listened in silence, realizing his aunt was not merely updating him. She was warning him about shadow networks, secret contracts, and rigged access to estates. Camilla was pulling strings from every direction, with Tom Parker Bowles sitting right at the centre of it. Not by blood and not by royal decree, but through backroom manipulation and a mother's very careful orchestration. "She is embedding him," Anne warned, her eyes locked onto her nephew's, "through influence, not lineage. And your father, completely blinded by love and sheer fatigue, is letting it happen." William's jaw tightened. Those brutal newspaper headlines from weeks earlier, especially Tom's public insult, still stung. But this was something far more dangerous, a long-term infiltration of the very legacy Queen Elizabeth II had devoted her whole life to protect. He looked at Anne, his anger slowly crystallizing into a firm purpose. "What do you want to do?" he asked, low and measured. Anne did not hesitate. "Use your title, use your massive reach, quietly and decisively. You are the Prince of Wales. This monarchy answers to you, not to Camilla, and absolutely not to her scheming son." William sat in silence for a brief moment, letting those heavy words soak deep into his bones. Then he stood up slowly, as if the ground beneath him had shifted. His nod was tiny but final, and as he walked out into the cold mist-choked morning air, Anne turned toward the frost-tinted window, her heavy breath fogging up the cold glass. This game was no longer quiet. The war had begun. How did a single silent glance spark a major royal reckoning? And what secrets froze right behind Kensington's glass, stay glued to uncover everything? The hidden purge of Kensington. By the chilly evening of December 12th, 2024, a dangerous new storm was forming. Not in the press, and certainly not in public, but deep within the cold stone walls of Kensington Palace. Beneath its gilded ceilings and watchful ancestral portraits, Prince William sat entirely alone at his heavy oak desk, sleeves rolled up, eyes locked on a stack of confidential documents. The dim golden lamplight flickered softly against his sharp jawline as he read page after page in absolute silence, while the palace walls seemed to close in around him. What had started at Sandringham as a mere whispered alliance had now sharpened into a campaign that was quiet, clinical, and dangerously precise. Right after his secret meeting with Princess Anne, William wasted absolutely no time. His orders, though unspoken to the public, carried the full weight of his title. As the Prince of Wales, his tight grip over the Duchy of Cornwall, which was a massive financial empire in itself, gave him far more than symbolic power. It gave him actual levers of control, and now he was pulling them. That very same night, as London's icy streets fell completely silent beneath the heavy weight of winter fog, William summoned a highly trusted, hand-picked circle of advisers to a private room behind thick velvet curtains. No staff, no leaks, and zero mistakes. Around the table sat senior financial officers, legal minds loyal to the bone, and property managers sworn directly to the crown. William stood dressed in a sharp-tailored black suit with the warm firelight casting dramatic shadows all across his face. "We are quietly restructuring this monarchy," he said, his voice low and exact. "Anyone closely linked to Camilla or Tom is out. No exceptions." It was absolutely not a suggestion. It was a directive. And so it began. Over the following few weeks, the quiet halls of the royal machine really began to shift. One by one, names that were once seen dining with Camilla or consulting with Tom Parker Bowles vanished completely from the inner circle. No headlines, no loud firings, just quiet removals, sudden reassignments to distant roles and consultant positions that never actually materialized. Early retirements with generous severance packages, simply too tempting to refuse. It was a quiet purge disguised as a routine transition executed with the complete stealth of a silent assassin. In the meantime, William ordered something far more lethal than public disgrace, a full internal audit. Officially, the move was framed as a standard check for transparency right across the Duchy of Cornwall and its surrounding estates. But those close to the operation knew exactly what it really was, a surgical excavation designed to expose Camilla's complex financial web. And the results were damning. Delivered in a sealed report just days before Christmas, the findings painted a picture not of royal efficiency but quiet exploitation. Sitting right at the centre was Annabel Elliot, Camilla's sister. The audit revealed she had lived completely rent-free for over a decade in a luxury Gloucester property, an estate meant to generate millions for the duchy. Her prestigious title of Chief of Interior Design, which stretched across 18 years, came with a heavy salary but zero substance. In fact, many of her supposed design projects had either been entirely outsourced or existed only in concept. As William sat reading the final summary under the warm, glowing lamp in his study, all the calm drained right from his face. His hands tightly clenched the edge of the document, his knuckles turning pale. The fury was controlled, but not dormant. "We end this now," he said, and with those heavy words the monarchy took its very first irreversible step into war. But just how far will these royal bloodlines bend before they break? And who actually cast the first stone in this silent royal war? Keep watching as the first major strike lands. December 2024. Long past midnight, inside the completely silent corridors of Kensington Palace, Prince William meets with his trusted legal team. No pleasantries, zero delays. His royal order is simple and absolutely final. Terminate Annabel Elliot's royal contract immediately. She must vacate the Gloucester estate within 48 hours with absolutely no extensions or mediation. The prince's words, cold and highly deliberate, carry the unmistakable weight of a modern monarchy reclaiming its throne. At that very hour, Annabel sits quietly in the drawing room of the historic estate she has called home for over a decade. The fire crackles gently beneath historic oil portraits, and heavy velvet drapes thick Persian rugs cushioning her step. A full glass of wine sits completely untouched. Suddenly her phone vibrates once then again. Her worried expression falls. The text is brief and brutal. She dials Camilla, her voice already trembling with absolute fear. "They are kicking me out, Camilla. William will not even let me speak." On the other end of the line, Camilla slowly closes her eyes. Her sister's panic slices deep through her, but her sudden silence is even louder. She knows Prince William has struck with surgical precision, making absolutely sure no one will stand up in Annabel's defence. Every loyal voice she once relied upon has gone completely silent, swept away by Princess Anne's unyielding royal influence or William's looming authority. This is not just about one woman losing her royal title or home. It is a harsh warning, a message written in bold ink and sealed in silence. All the backdoor politics and quiet privileges, they end right here. With Princess Anne watching the board and William making the moves, the royal purge is no longer hidden. But behind the cold palace walls, Camilla is not mourning. She is calculating. The devastating blow has landed, but the royal war has only just begun. A throne divided. Soft golden light pours from the massive crystal chandeliers, casting broken reflections directly onto Camilla's deeply strained expression. Alone in her private quarters, she tightly clutches the notice confirming Annabel's sudden royal dismissal. Sacked, stripped of all titles, and removed from the Gloucester estate in less than 48 hours. The sheer brutality of it is not just shocking, it is surgical, and it rattles her to her core. Camilla had always truly thrived in the subtle, quiet game of palace politics. Her true strength was never in open confrontation, but in quiet whispers, and in knowing exactly how to bend power without making it break. But now that power is slipping away and fast, she knows exactly what is at stake. Launching a direct challenge to Prince William or Princess Anne could completely tear down the careful public image she has spent decades polishing. No, this high-stakes fight would require a much more delicate hand. A cold morning fog clings to the palace windows as Camilla slowly makes her way to the king's third private study. The heavy door creaks softly as she steps inside. King Charles III sits slouched in his chair, pale and worn, still slowly recovering from months of medical treatment. The heavy air is thick with the crushing weight of his silence. The slow tick of an antique clock seems much louder than usual now, almost accusatory. "Charles," she says very softly, her voice trembling just enough to sound completely sincere. "Why is William doing this? Annabel meant absolutely no harm. She has been loyal. Can you speak to him, please?" The quiet king does not look up. His tired gaze stays fixed on the fireplace. "Camilla," he replies almost in a quiet whisper, "I have done my part. He has taken the reins now. I do not want more trouble." It is a quiet refusal, but a deeply crushing one. Camilla stands frozen for a moment, then slowly nods, masking her devastation beneath a practiced calm. But inside her cold fury simmers. She pivots quickly. If the king will not act, then others might. Within mere hours she dispatches a sudden flurry of private letters, with each word carefully chosen for trusted members of the Privy Council. These are highly influential men and women, key voices that shape decisions behind closed palace doors. Her message is completely clear. Prince William is actively destabilising the monarchy with his rash actions. This purge of loyal family affiliates, including her own sister, could easily fracture the institution at its very core. But what Camilla does not know is that her desperate plea arrives far too late. Weeks earlier, Princess Anne had already moved quietly and efficiently. In secret meetings held across the heart of Westminster, she had spoken directly to those very same Privy Council members. Armed with her calm royal gravitas and unimpeachable loyalty to the crown, she delivered something far more persuasive than simple raw emotional evidence. Shocking financial missteps, shell contracts, and confidential memos all point directly back to Annabel Elliot and Tom Parker Bowles. Anne's calm tone was not angry, it was noble. "This is not about family politics," she told them. "It is about protecting the crown's ultimate integrity. If we allow those outside the bloodline to misuse our royal influence, we deeply dishonour the late Queen's legacy." No one argued. No one ever needed to. Princess Anne had not just countered Camilla, she had completely erased her from the board before the game even started. Finally, this heavy silence broke the crown. Had Camilla been completely outplayed from the very beginning, stay with us. This reckoning is not over yet. The dramatic fall of shadows. By early February 2025, the gilded walls of Windsor Castle, polished to absolute perfection for yet another royal gala, conceal far more than just tradition and power. Behind the grand music, the lively dancing and the endless sparkle of diamonds, a quiet royal purge is tightening its grip. And at the very centre of it all, Camilla is slowly running out of allies. The intense media storm surrounding Tom Parker Bowles shows no sign of dying down. His furious public attack on Prince William, unleashed so publicly at his recent cookbook launch just weeks ago, became the very stone that shattered his entire empire. The hungry press, always desperate for blood, quickly unearthed his questionable financial links, several of which lead straight to royal properties. Once Tom's name dominated the culinary world. Today it is dragged endlessly through royal scandal. Major backers cut ties, deals collapse, and premium projects crumble away like stale pastry. His name, once linked with Michelin stars, now only trends beside utter disgrace. He is left with empty tables and a shattered reputation. Camilla, watching her son drown under the crushing weight of direct royal retaliation, starts to quietly disappear from public view. She cancels 3 major official engagements in a row, blaming a sudden throat infection. But the sceptical tabloids do not buy it. Whispers of a massive brewing royal feud spread incredibly fast. Online forums speculate wildly. Has the Queen's historic influence finally crumbled? During a grand royal gala on February 17th, historic Windsor Castle becomes the perfect backdrop for a power play cloaked in pleasantries. Prince William, looking composed and commanding in his tailored black suit, works the crowded room like a highly seasoned statesman. Camilla arrives dressed in striking emerald green. Her smile is poised but brittle. Every step, every cold glance toward William reminds her of everything she has lost, her sister Annabel, her inner circle of power and her public standing. And then comes the ultimate, coldest dagger. From the far edges of the grand ballroom, Princess Anne emerges impeccably dressed, her expression entirely unreadable. She glides directly toward Camilla with the effortless grace of a dancer, but her quiet words strike like a sharp blade. "Did you really think you could bend the crown to your will?" Camilla stutters, her voice dropping barely above a whisper. "I only want what is best for the family." But Anne's reply is pure ice. "You are not blood, and ambition is not loyalty." The heavy air thickens. Camilla's champagne glass trembles in her tense fingers, a few drops spilling onto the cold marble floor. She desperately wants to answer back, to fight, but absolutely nothing comes. The warning lands quietly yet with decisive force. Anne walks away without a single backward glance. Camilla is left standing there not as a queen, but as a woman suddenly aware of her utter powerlessness. In the weeks that follow, the monarchy shifts. Annabel Elliot has quietly moved out of the historic Gloucester estate. There is no formal statement, no dramatic headlines, just pictures. Her suitcases, packed into an unmarked van, circulate online. The watching public clearly senses that something unspoken has occurred, something that absolutely reeks of quiet ruthlessness. Camilla, once the palace's single most influential figure, is now reduced to an occasional forced photo op. Her radiant smile is completely gone, her eyes dim. Behind closed doors she has become the tragic ghost of a forgotten war. Meanwhile, Tom fades even faster. Once courted by royals and top critics alike, he now pens food columns that absolutely no one reads. The invitations have completely stopped, the spotlight gone. And yet, as the old guard slowly crumbles, Anne and William rise, always polite, always silent, but incredibly firm. Together they steady the modern monarchy. Not through noisy press conferences, but by quietly removing threats without any public spectacle. So, what do you think truly drove Anne and William to dismantle Camilla's power so silently? Was it loyalty or calculated vengeance? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content.